Hey guys, it's me Elizabeth. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a book tag, and we're going to do the mid-year Freakout book tag. I believe that's what it's called. I think that's what it's called. Anyways, I wanted to do this. I saw Chantel read all day do this tag, and I got inspired and wanted to do this myself. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's jump right into the questions. Question number 1, what is the best book you've read this year so far? Reservoir, Brandon Sanderson. Easiest choice. Need I say much more than the fact that it's Brandon Sanderson? Like, this book is absolutely insane. I thought it was amazing. I know a lot of people have issues with this book. They think it's not nearly as good as the other ones. I loved it. I thought it was great. I think most people still liked this book a lot. They still loved it. They just thought it went down compared to the other 3 or something. I don't know. But I'm also one of the people who thinks that Oathbringer is the best book so far. I just really loved Alan Arcolin, and so I really liked book 3 because he was like the main POV in that book. I know a lot of people's favorites is The Words of Radiance, but you know what? I love all 4 of them. I think they're all absolutely phenomenal. I don't think any of them are not good. It's freaking Stormlight Archives. It's one of the best things to ever be written. Number 2, what is the best sequel you've read so far this year? I mean, I could go with Rhythm of War, because that's the best book I've read. But I wanted to try and give a different answer for all of the questions. So I did pick a different book. This is the second best book I've read all year, and that is Lightbringer by Pierce Brown. This was phenomenal. All I'm going to say is that Pierce Brown is absolutely insane. I love his writing. I love the Red Rising saga. If you haven't read the Red Rising saga, read it. Put it on the top of your TBR. Make it a priority because it's so freaking good. I loved it so much. I definitely need to read more science fiction because the few science fiction books I've actually read I've loved, and I don't know why I'm sleeping on this genre because clearly it's a good genre. So, Lightbringer, Pierce Brown. Number 3 is new release you haven't read yet but want to. I'm not gonna lie, I don't have an answer for this because here's the situation. I don't pay attention to new releases all that much. I don't have social media really, so I don't follow authors. I don't know when new releases are. I don't know if the authors that I like are coming out with new books anytime soon, except for like a few exceptions. Obviously, there's like certain things that are just really big that you know that this is happening, like Sanderson. But like other stuff, like I don't know if any authors are coming out with anything new ever. So as far as something that has already come out that's a new release this year for something that I would be interested in, I have no idea what that would be. I'm not super in with the crowd of the new anticipated release books. Like, I'm not into the new releases. I read a lot of old books. So, a lot of books that have been published a long time ago. Question number 4, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Now, I just said about new releases, but I do have a very, very, very anticipated release for the second half of the year. And of course, that is Wind and Truth by Sanderson, Book 5 in the Stormlight Archive. I'm so excited. You don't understand. I am so freaking excited for this book. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I am so excited. I wish it was coming out like now, but obviously I gotta wait till December. And I think book 7 in the Red Rising saga might be coming out in 2024, but I don't know that for sure. I have to look that up. I know that I was looking at something at the end of last year, and it said that the 7th book was going to be released in 2024, like that had the date for the release, but didn't really have anything else about it. So I don't know if that's accurate or not, but if it is, am also extremely excited. Question number 5, biggest disappointment. I have 2 for this one. I was kind of disappointed in Reflections in the Psalms by C.S. Lewis. I went into this thinking, oh, this is going to be a great book because it's C.S. Lewis. I mean, just about everything he's ever written is amazing in my opinion, or all the stuff that I've read so far. But I was told by my mom that she didn't like this, and then I was told by my dad that he thought that Lewis had some weird thoughts in the Psalms or whatever. I forget exactly what he said. And then I went into this, like, kind of nervous because I was, like, originally excited, and then my parents both said they didn't like this book. And I didn't really care for it either. I don't know how to give you the proper thoughts on it, except that I just really didn't have a great time with this book. I think the writing is great because C.S. Lewis is a phenomenal author. He's a phenomenal writer. I just didn't necessarily like the contents that he wrote. The other book that I was really kind of just a little bit disappointed in, and I almost feel like I should reread it sometime because I feel like I didn't get a proper read of it or something. I don't know. But Best Served Cold by Joe Abercrombie, which is the first book in the standalones in the First Law universe. So here's the thing. I read the First Law trilogy. I loved it. I binged it so hard. It was so good. I loved it. And then I went to Best Served Cold with the same energy of like, I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I'm going to love this. It's going to be so amazing. And I read it and it didn't quite have the same energy. And I feel like it's a me problem, and I feel like I want to reread it because I did enjoy it. I did enjoy some aspects of it, but at the same time, I felt like I wasn't in it, and I wasn't enjoying myself as much, and I also just kind of feel like I wasn't paying attention as much either, and I feel like I need to go back, reread it, and then move on to the next book because I just feel like I don't know what happened. But I listened to the audiobook. I do know some of the stuff that happened, but at the same time, it's like, it just didn't have the same effect as the First Law did. And everyone raves about Best Served Cold and how amazing it is. And what I read was good, but at the same time, it just didn't feel the same. And I really wanted it to. So it's a slight disappointment. Question number 6 is the biggest surprise. I have 2 for this. I was super surprised about both of these books. I thought maybe I would like this one, but this one I wasn't sure at all. And basically, these are both books that people have talked about on the internet. This one person that I watch on YouTube read this book and raved about it and said it was so good. And it just sounded kind of interesting, but not like something I would ever pick up. And so I decided to get it when I was connected with Book of the Month. And that's The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. I was so surprised and impressed that I actually really enjoyed this book. I believe I gave it 4 stars. I was not expecting this book at all to be what it was. Going into this book, I honestly didn't really know much of anything about it at all. Like, I thought when I originally heard about it that it sounded interesting, but then when I went into it, I didn't remember anything from what I thought I knew. And I didn't know anything really about going into this. And I read it, and I really liked it. I was like, what? So, yeah, I thought this was a really good book. We got like a time travel element in here, and it's just really fun. And then we have another book that everyone talks about on the internet, and that is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I was so shocked when reading this. Even when I started this book, I was like, this is the exact kind of book that I wouldn't read. Like, it's not my, like this is a popular YA mystery thriller type novel. Like, that's not something I would ever pick up in my life, ever. But I kept hearing people talk about this, and one day I just got, like, last year I just decided to buy it. And I thought it sounded intriguing. And basically, we have this main character who just receives this random inheritance from this random old man who died, and his entire estate, he's like this rich old man, and his entire estate got handed down to her. And she doesn't know this guy, she doesn't know anything about his family, nothing about it. So then she has to go on this mystery of finding out why this guy gave her his entire inheritance. Like, what is going on? What the heck? And of course, this guy has 3 grandsons, and she might be interested in some of them. So there's like a little bit of a love thing happening, but it's not super strong in this one, I would say. I was just so incredibly surprised. It was so quick. The chapters are so short. Some of the chapters have like 3 pages or 2 pages. Like, I could read this so quickly because the chapters were just so short. And I read this physically. I read it so quickly. It was just hard to put down. It was so good. I must say, I'm dying to read book 2. This is like a trilogy, and then there's like a 4th book that she came out with that connects to it or something. But I loved book 1. I can't wait to read book 2. I don't have access to it at the moment, but I really would love to read book 2. Question number 7, favorite new debut or new to you author. For this one, I decided to just, I don't know, like, I probably didn't pick the right author for this, but there's like not a lot of new authors. There's a few books that I read, but I decided to just, I don't know why I picked this one, but I picked Orson Scott Card. I only read 1 book by him, but like, I loved Ender's Game so much. I think I gave that one like 5 stars, and I'm so, like, I want to read more books by him. I want to read more of the Ender's Saga, I think that's what's called, or something. I want to read more of that, and I want to read the books that are in Bean's point of view, because someone I watch on YouTube is like obsessed with the books that are in his point of view. So I want to read more Ender's Game related stuff, and I want to read more Orson Scott Card because that book was just phenomenal. I don't really have a good author that like I've actually read a bunch of books by them or something, because the authors that I read a bunch of books from I've already read from. They're not new to me or a debut. So yeah, Orson Scott Card is the one I chose for this because I just thought that book was phenomenal, and I want to read more of his books. Question number 8, we're going to skip because I don't have an answer for you, but it's newest fictional crush. I used to have fictional crushes when I was younger. I'll admit, I was like a huge fangirl in the past. These days, I only have 1 fictional crush. I don't have any other fictional crushes. I don't think I ever will have any other fictional. Question number 9, newest favorite character. There's so many books that I've read, and it's hard to choose because some of the books I've read have continued a series, and I can't choose that because it's not new. It was already a favorite character before from the other books. And so this one was kind of hard to choose from because I feel like some of the books I read were really good, but I wouldn't necessarily say like this is the best character ever. So I had a hard time picking characters, but I did find 2 characters that I thought were really fun to follow / I really like their characters in these books. So first we have Sir Wilfrid of Ivanhoe from Ivanhoe by Sir Walter Scott. This book, if you ever have watched the TV miniseries for Ivanhoe and you love it as much as I do, I grew up watching it, it's one of my favorite things ever. You should read the book because reading the book, it's basically like watching the movie. It's the exact same, word for word. It's kind of like the 1995 Pride and Prejudice. It's like that miniseries is word for word to the book. So when I started listening to this, I was like, what? And then I finished it and I was like, this is word for word. Like, what? Like, I wasn't expecting that because I don't come across very many book to movies that are word for word besides Pride and Prejudice, so I wasn't expecting there to be like another one, but there's another one. So this book is just so good. I love Ivanhoe. I love Ivanhoe's character as well. I think he's just awesome. We also have D'Artagnan from the Three Musketeers. I just thought his character was pretty fun to follow. And what can I say? I'm obsessed. I'm absolutely obsessed with Alexander Dumas. He is like one of my favorite authors of all time now. I can't tell you how much I love his writing. He is such a good writer, a good author, and his characters are so phenomenal. And yeah, last year I read The Count of Monte Cristo and immediately was obsessed. And now I finally read The Three Musketeers, and this was phenomenal. Alexander Dumas just knows how to do it. I can't wait to read more of his books. I thought D'Artagnan was a great character. I loved following him, and I'm so excited to get into more Alexander Dumas books because he's just amazing. Amazing. Question number 10, a book that made you cry. I don't know what book made me cry. I don't think a lot of books this year made me cry, but I think I do have to say Dark Age. Dark Age made me cry. There were some things that happened in that book, and I was like, it was really hard. Like, I did tear up for sure, but it was really hard because I was actually listening to it at work, so, like, I can't cry while I'm at work, you know. But I did, like, tear up a little bit, and it did kind of make me cry after the fact. But, oh my gosh, that just brings you right through, like, all kinds of stuff, emotions and stuff like that. It was phenomenal. It's Pierce Brown, so, like, it was phenomenal. It's part of the Red Rising saga, so obviously it was just so very good. I loved it so much. Number 12 is most beautiful book you've received or bought so far this year. I've subscribed to the Broken Binding, so I have some really cool Broken Binding editions. I have the whole trilogy set of the Hang God trilogy, and they look absolutely phenomenal. But I didn't want to take up my whole time and show you all of those books and all the ins and outs. So I am going to show you the most recent book that I got from the Broken Binding, and that is The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. So the outer dust jacket is just like the normal cover of the book, the original cover. But then we have the sprayed edges. And we are getting the whole trilogy for the Gentleman Bastards series. We are getting all 3 books that are currently out. But every single book comes with end pages that look phenomenal. And these end pages here, pretty awesome. And gold foiling on the cover. So this one has characters from the book. And then we've got the spine, and the back is the same image but flipped upside down. I think these are so phenomenal. I actually did get the second book in the series, but I had to send it back because they put the cover on upside down. So I was like, gonna contact them about this. I don't really want my special edition to have an upside down cover. Like, if it was just any old book, it wouldn't bother me so much, but because it was a special edition, I'm like, I do kind of want it to be, like, proper. But Broken Binding editions, for sure, are the best editions of books that I've gotten this year. The last and final question is number 13. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? I mean, I could do a stack, like, that long. My entire physical TBR. That would be nice, but that's also impossible. So I'm just going to talk about this stack of books that I've come up with. First, Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I'm actually currently reading this. I can't tell you how far I am, but I'm currently listening to the audiobook for this. So this is part of my June TBR. I am making my way through this. Hopefully I can finish this in June and have this off the TBR, but I did put this on this list before I started reading this. Next, I want to finish the Mistborn original trilogy, first trilogy, Mistborn Era 1, so The Well of Ascension. I do have this on audio, and I did technically start the audiobook, didn't make it very far, but I do want to continue this, listen to the audiobook, make my way through this book, and then also want to get to the Hero of Ages as well, and make my way through this book, and eventually get to Mistborn Era 2, Mistborn Era 2, which has the Wax and Wane series. I would love to get to that at some point as well, but focusing this year, 2024, I want to at least finish the first trilogy in the Mistborn saga, and we'll see where we get to from there. Then I would also love to finish The Slow Regard of Silent Things by Patrick Rothfuss. As you can see, I did start this book. I actually started this last December, and I just haven't finished it. I know it's the shortest book on the planet, and you're thinking, why haven't you finished this? This is actually a novella in the Kingkiller Chronicles, and it's about one of the characters from the Kingkiller Chronicles, and it's just a day in their life kind of a situation. So, like, basically nothing happens. It's kind of one of those slow, kind of, I don't want to say it's boring because it is kind of interesting, but also, like, it's kind of one of the slow, boring-ish books. And lastly, my goal for this entire year, this is the book I want to have finished this year. This is, like, the most anticipated classic. Basically, not anticipate, I don't know if anticipate is the right word, but it's the one I want to, it's on the one that's the highest on my TBR, and that is Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. Again, I have an audiobook for it, and again, I started it. I didn't make it very far though, and I'm a little bit, like, intimidated because of the size. I mean, look at this thing. It's a little bit large. And also, I'm intimidated by the content because there's a lot of political stuff in here that absolutely doesn't make any sense, and you don't necessarily have to read that. And I don't really condone reading abridged books, but this one, I would love to read abridged, but I can't seem to find an abridged audiobook, so I think I'm probably going to just continue in the audiobook I have for it. And I don't know for certain, but I'm pretty sure it's just an unabridged version because it doesn't say it's abridged, so I'm thinking it's unabridged, and so I'm going to have to listen to all of the political mumbo jumbo that I'm not going to make any sense of, and that isn't really that important to the plot. But I haven't gotten to that part yet, so what I've listened to so far has been good. Those are all of the books on my end of year TBR. I have lots more, obviously, but those are the main ones that I want to finish. And that is the last question. That is the end of the tag. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know the answers to these questions down below in the comments. What your thoughts on these questions, if you have any answers for these. And I tag anyone who's watching this that has a YouTube channel to do this tag as well. And I will see you in the next one. I hope you have your own fun reading adventures.